Welcome to joining us. We're happy to have you all here. Welcome to the Social Impact Educators series. This is our first one of the year. Thanks for joining us. Well, we appreciate everyone's able to join us today, and I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. I'm Debbie Brock with Catalyst 2030. We have an amazing panel of speakers today who are going to be joining us for this session. And I'm just going to go in the order of the presenters, just so you can know a little bit about their background. This particular session, as we were getting together, looking at educators starting the new year in some parts of the world, what are some new opportunities for us to teach differently, new opportunities and trends in our programs to highlight. So we have folks from all over the world with very diverse backgrounds in this trends in social entrepreneurship education. On part of our speakers, we do have Bindu. Bindu comes to us from India. She is a social entrepreneur. She teaches at 2 universities in India and also, MIT World Peace University, so that's not in there. She also works with the Marketplace Simulations program, and they have a really interesting conscious capitalism and some other simulations that you might want to use for your classroom. Eric is here with us from Lehigh University. Kajdan couldn't make it. He's on a plane right now, but I'm happy to have Eric here. The Transformative Education for Sustainable Social Impact at TESSI program, which right now is being offered in India, but it's going to be in other parts of the world. He'll share a little bit about that, as well as the cool programming they're doing at Lehigh University as well. And he comes from the Humanitarian Engineering and Social Entrepreneurship program at Penn State. And if you know about that one, it's super cool engineering program. Sanse, she will not be with us today, but we will have somebody from African Leadership Academy to join us. And Burmeet is here as well. Burmeet hails from Kazakhstan, or Kyrgyzstan, switch my stands. And she's the Regional Director of Postgraduate Education at OSCE Academy. And she was also really involved at the Open Society University Network, which is, if you haven't seen it, it's so cool. You'll hear more about that as well. And she has a real diverse research background as well. We brought in a special speaker to join us. For those of you that know Ashoka Yu, Edie's going to be joining us later to talk about the work of Ashoka Yu and there's some of the new things that are happening. She has a master's degree from the University of Cambridge, and we're thrilled to have her as well. So as we kick off, we'd love to do this in the breakout or in the chat. Please put in where you're coming in from, what university or organization you're a part of, what part of the world, and what are you looking forward to in this session? You know, new ideas for the classroom or opportunities to share or network and work with others. We will have a breakout room, which we'd love to have for everyone. So put those in the chat, keep that going on where you're calling in from, and we'd love to hear more from you. And I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. We got Burmeet coming in first. Share with us about the Open Society University Network and the Global Certificate in Sustainability and Social Enterprise. Thanks, Burmeet.
Hello, guys. I am so happy to be here and sharing my own experience, how I actually got involved into social entrepreneurship, and also how I actually worked currently in 2 of the leading universities in Kyrgyz Republic. One is actually American University of Central Asia, and second one is OSCE Academy. So I am actually just an instructor of social entrepreneurship and social innovation. Also, I coordinate sustainable social enterprise certificate course, what Debbie has already mentioned, under Open Society University Network. And also my key focuses is a sharing experience, teaching social entrepreneurship in Kyrgyzstan, and fostering innovation and empathy-driven solutions. If we go to the next slide. So this is actually a little bit of context about Kyrgyzstan, where it's located, because Kyrgyzstan is not really popular, and it gets sometimes very confused with other stans, and this is a very small, tiny country in Central Asia. strong cultural traditions and diverse ethnic groups we have in Kyrgyzstan. And the challenges what we have currently is the high unemployment and economic instability, environmental concerns also, and we need for innovative, sustainable solutions for pressing societal issues. The next slide, please. So here I want to talk about the role of education in driving social change. Why? Because if we actually step back and really understand what sustainable development is, it is actually preserving and using their needs for present and preserving the actual bright future for the future generation. So I am actually mostly working on educating young entrepreneurs, young change makers about the social enterprise and how actually they can make change within the organizations without really leaving the country. And how can they actually also create the job opportunities for other people, for actually their own community, right? And how actually we do that? Actually, we do that by fostering the empathy and critical thinking, creative thinking, and problem solving skills, which actually involves into doing a lot of practical work, where I say 80% is actual practice and only 20% is only theory. And impact on students, I will talk more about impact on students because my students have been taking this course with also on Open Society University Network, and how actually changed and what actually students understood they can do with their all given opportunities. Next slide. So Rebel Base is actually part of the Ozone program, where actually students from all over the world, starting from Kyrgyz Republic, Myanmar, also Philippines, Bulgaria, South Africa, America, so other countries, we all gather together on a weekly basis and we teach actually social entrepreneurship. And this is actually the glimpse of their websites. You can also go and schedule the demo if you want to be if you want to use the platform, and they can also teach and share you how to use the platform. Next slide, please. So this is actually the project made by a diverse group of students from Central Asia, which means they were located in different parts of the world. However, using this platform, they were able to actually create this not a shame yet a miss educational app, where kids from Central Asia would learn actually more about the like sex, because in Central Asia, it's a taboo. So you cannot talk a lot about the sex. So that was actually a gamified way of teaching teenagers in Central Asia about the sex life, right? So, and these guys actually pitched in front of, also again, they pitched actually online, and they actually won 1,500 grants. So then they took off, and actually I think they got a 10,000 investment into their games app development. Next. So this is actually just snippet from Rebel Base. So the building of the social enterprise is precisely laid out, and it has actually steps where you cannot actually go to the next builder without finishing the first. So that's actually the first week of what students need to do, starting with the problem, and then there are a lot of readings also involved, and students can actually collaborate on the builders itself only. Next slide. I think I am having a little bit of time. Yeah, my experience teaching also at AUCA and OSE. So I love actually involving and engaging with students, creating their own social enterprise, or even the project or social movement, social awareness. So because social entrepreneurship, yes, it's actually something that you want to make money, but it could also start as just a movement awareness, and then it could turn out into the enterprise where you gain more experience actually learning. So we focus mostly on empathy, creative thinking, and sustainability, how the idea could be more sustainable. Next slide, please. So real world case studies from Kyrgyzstan, in this case, is actually from me, is a first case study, environmental entrepreneurship, sustainable innovation, and social impact lab, and impact on students' life. Can we go to the next slide? Because here in the next slide, I will explain to you more. So sustainable actually environments, all right? So students here actually pitching their ideas to the president of the university, and he was actually able also to there sit and evaluate, assess the projects, and at the end, the coffee leftover compost was one of the projects what this year students actually, along with actually the president's office, will be working on implementing. The next picture, what you see is a sustainable innovation and social impact lab, is where students were for the concentration of social innovation, social entrepreneurship and design thinking. Students created this lab, and they will be actually responsible for this kind of yes, for the running of the club, not the club, but it's a lab. Sorry. I think I ran out of the time. Yes. Do I have 1 more minute? Just to want to finish the
Yes.
president's. So
30 seconds. Go
yeah.
for it.
So how actually impact a student's life? Students saw that they are heard, that their ideas are not just on a piece of a paper, but that we as a administration are interested working with the students. Then that way, actually, a lot of students were involved in the project, and a lot of students are right now transitioning from one department to social entrepreneurship, design thinking concentration, because of the opportunities what we give to the students, and we empower them. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving extra 30 seconds, Debbie. You are muted, Debbie.
And I just did it. Eric, we're going to pass it on to you. You're going to speak at Lehigh University and TESSI program. Thanks, Eric.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric. I'm a teaching assistant professor at Lehigh University in the Computer Science and Creative Inquiry Department. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about our Transformative Education for Sustainable Social Impact Institute. Next, please. So like I said, come from Lehigh University. It's a small private research university in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. We have about 7,000 total students, with a little over 5,000 of those being undergraduates. It's a very internationally oriented university. We have more than 250 study abroad programs, and the majority of our students will experience one of these programs throughout their time at Lehigh. Next, please. And so at Lehigh, I think, and you're probably seeing this at all of your institutions, we're really seeing that students are very different these days. They're surrounded by all these opportunities and distractions, whether that is technology, different e-learning, learning modalities, as well as, their phones and other apps that are just distracting them. And so we're seeing that there's a real need and a demand from these students and other educators for a different way of educating students. Next, please. And so that's what we try to do in the creative inquiry department here at Lehigh. We're trying to educate students for a life of impact so that they can go out and make a difference in the world through social entrepreneurship, innovation, and other ways of making an impact. Next, please. At Lehigh, we have our primary program of doing this is called the Impact Fellowship Program. So we have 4 of these different impact fellowships. The Global Social Impact Fellowship, which sees students go to Kazakhstan, India, the Philippines, and Sierra Leone to work on projects, social entrepreneurial projects. And then the 3 other programs listed here, which are more domestically located here in the US. Next, please. And so with these projects, the students have a real opportunity to work on real, meaningful, authentic projects. So these projects continue for many years. Students will commit to working on them for 1 year. That will be a 1-year intensive experience where they are taking classes in the spring, doing fieldwork in the summer, and then taking additional classes in the fall. And this really lets them develop a lot of ownership over the projects that they're working on. Next, please. And so we've had some requests from other faculty members about how they could translate that concept, the concept of the impact fellowships, to their other universities, which is where the Transformative Education for Sustainable Social Impact Institute comes in. I'm going to call it TESSI from now on, just because that's a mouthful. And so TESSI first started in early 2024, so earlier this year, after a request from IIT Kharagpur. who wanted to do a workshop to help their faculty to develop programs similar to what we're doing at Lehigh University. And so in January 2024, Kanjan Mehta and some other Lehigh University faculty traveled to IIT Kharagpur to actually do the inaugural TESSI Institute. Next, please. So this was a 5-day workshop where faculty members from different universities came together for 5 days of thinking, designing, and creating programs focused on social impact and transformative education. So you can see the themes of the different days here. We talk a lot about social entrepreneurship, humanitarian engineering, design thinking, and this is really an opportunity for faculty to think about how they can build their own programs. So similar to how we want students to take radical ownership over the projects that we're working on, with TESSI, it's an opportunity for faculty to create and take ownership over their own programs. Next, please. And this is also a great opportunity for faculty exchange. So at the first TESSI, there were over 60 faculty members from 4 different countries. So it was hosted in India. We also had faculty from the US, of course, and Philippines and Hong Kong who were able to attend and really learn from each other and start to build this community of social impact educators. Next, please. And so since then, we've really taken this, or we're starting to scale this up and take this around the world. This is a picture from the second TESSI, which took place in Manila in the Philippines at the University of Philippines, Diliman. It was a smaller group of around 30 faculty members who were able to come together for a similar workshop around similar themes. And that was actually the first of 2 TESSI institutes that we hosted in the Philippines recently. So next, please. And so those were in March and July, as I said, in partnership with the University of Philippines, Diliman. We also have 2 more TESSI institutes coming up in November in Colombia and in December in Australia. And so both of these, we actually still have slots open. So if there's any faculty member who are going to be in those areas, we would love to chat more with you about how you could be included. And so TESSI is really on the faculty side. We're also looking at how we can scale up our impact education for students as well. And that started this past summer with the Humanitarian Design and Social Entrepreneurship Summer School. This was also hosted in India on the Agastya International Foundation's campus in Kuppam, where we had 25 undergraduate students come together for another week-long workshop where they are learning a lot of the same concepts that we're teaching our students here at Lehigh. So this is a picture from one of their final presentations. Like I said, this started in summer 2024, and we're looking to scale up this model as well. We're doing that in 2 ways. So the first is with an in-person workshop like the one that I mentioned in India. And we're also looking at how we can use other hybrid models and e-learning platforms to do similar things. So we've started by putting our course onto the Honor Education e-learning platform so that students around the world can have access to all of this content about social entrepreneurship and all of these great concepts. Next, please. And so here's a quick screenshot of the platform on Honor Education. And so this is, like I said, an opportunity for those who attend the workshops to have the materials in a more digital fashion, and also potentially an opportunity for students to take this course more asynchronously so that they can start to learn some of these new concepts and perhaps prepare themselves to go into social entrepreneurship in the future. Next, please. And so, like I said, we still have a few spots available for TESSI Colombia and TESSI Down Under. Please feel free to reach out to myself or Kanjan Mehta if you are interested in attending either of those. And follow us on LinkedIn. That's, I think, the best way to keep abreast of everything that we're working on. So thank you, everybody.
Great. Good timing, finishing it off on time. Definitely grab that QR code if you want to learn more. It's a great program. I've loved the work that Eric and Kajan have done over their lifetime. And I want to give a tip to the dads out there. Kajan does a girls' weekend with his girls' week vacation with his daughters. And if you've never seen the vacation photos, they go all over the world with him and his 2 young daughters. And it's just a fun thing. So thanks so much, though, Eric, for joining us. Next off, we had a switcheroo on one of the speakers, and we wanted to go ahead and just introduce you to the African Leadership Academy. There's a university program and there's also a high school program. And Winnie Mbasa is going to join us and share a case study about her experience doing that program. So Winnie, off to you.
Thank you, Debbie. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. So my name is Winnie Godlove Msamba, and I am joining in from the very warm West Africa, Tanzania, Dar es Salaam specifically. I'm very happy to be here and to join this conversation as an alumni from African Leadership Academy, but also as a Pan-African and as education enthusiast. So I think my story is more of like the evidence of great leadership of educators, and this includes of everyone I think in here, and the importance of social entrepreneurship. Just a little bit more about the African Leadership Academy. So the African Leadership Academy seeks to transform Africa by developing a powerful network of young leaders who more or so will work together to address the African greatest challenges and hopefully to achieve impact, specifically social impact, and accelerate the continent's growth trajectory. And I think for me, this shows how important social entrepreneurship is. And it's not only for just teaching students to be entrepreneurs, but also to guide them, you know, to become problem solvers for their communities and the world. As is evidently that when you talk specifically about the continent, Africa's greatest need as of now is, you know, having ethical, entrepreneurial, and transformative leadership. Statistics show that by 2050, the demand for jobs, livelihood, functional infrastructures, and meaningful healthcare we really go high, approximately to 1 billion Africans, and meeting these demands and achieving system-wide transformation, it will necessitate a significant shift within the quality and the caliber of leadership. So as a student who attend the African Leadership Academy, I think I saw firsthand how profound the impact of forward-thinking education, particularly within the social entrepreneurship, specifically within their curriculum, their core curriculum, which emphasizes leadership, innovation, and problem solving. I think which perfectly aligns with the trends of, you know, the future focused educators within the social entrepreneurship education. I think one of the things that I want to focus that was absolutely amazing that I learned from the academy was the entrepreneurial leadership program, where we had to go through different training on how we can solve you know, real world problems and launch businesses directly to solve community challenges. I had joined with some of my amazing classmates from all over, you know, the continent, and we had to actually go to the field and learn how to turn these ideas into impactful ventures. And one of the programs that I very proudly engaged was with the student enterprise. So every student within the academy was required to join a student enterprise and work together. And I joined the student enterprise called the South African Ideas Festival, whereby we work with so many young people within the South Africa and empower them and teach them about entrepreneurship and what truly it means to, you know, to become leader within your own ways and your own words, and how you can actually use you can take different issues within your communities and walk through your own ways and in the own understanding on how you can solve them. Another program that I think was absolutely amazing was a program called Build in a Box. This is more or so it's an experiential entrepreneurship initiative that is designed to, you know, empower with the skills and mindset, not only to launch the ventures, but also it's a toolkit to provide students with the resources and guidance to organize and to run these hands-on entrepreneurship camps in their local communities. I'm very happy I got to run the Building a Box program within Tanzania and also in Kenya with some of my amazing other students. And I think some of the key elements that I remember that we had, first of all, was this toolkit for teaching entrepreneurship, where they provide us with comprehensive kits that includes, you know, materials, instructions, and curriculum for running entrepreneurship workshop. And another one was a youth-led workshops. So the program is led by students and alumni, which really truly allows us to share this entrepreneurship mindset that we have developed within the academy. And another part was, it was fully hands-on, focused on practical skills. So I think the aim was just not only to teach the theory, but also to provide us with the practical tools that we needed, you know, to launch real-world ventures. And by the end of the workshop, usually when we run them, participants would have developed some business model that they can and presented the ideas. And another thing that I think was one of the key elements was the nature of its community empowerment. The ALA mission of fostering leadership and entrepreneurship across Africa. It's truly engraved in the nature of this program, because it also have scalable impact. And I think one of the very great examples that I've had is me being able to, you know, engage with different programs right after the program at African Leadership Academy, and also move on to university, and until now being able to run my venture and other alumni who are also in the program. So I think in a nutshell, having when we talk about the importance of social entrepreneurship, it's just not only for, you know, having students to teach them and just building things within the school, but also how it can empower us also to become real problem solvers. And for us, for that, I say thank you to all educators who are working very hard to ensure that we are developing a nation that is very conscious and very entrepreneurial and ethical in ethical leadership. Thank you so much, Debbie. Back to you.
Thank you, Winnie, for joining us in that last minute impromptu. We appreciate you joining us in. So thank you so much. Bindu is off next. She's going to be talking about the art of learning and kick us off real quickly with the information about the simulations with marketplace simulations. So off to you, Bindu.
Okay, thank you, Debbie. And my pleasure to be here with the great audience and the speakers. It's inspiring to hear from the people like Branett and Eric, and they are doing just wonderful work. So I would like to run a video, 2 minutes video, to give the an idea of the conscious capitalism. Then I'll start my presentation. Okay, Kami, please run the video.
What is the main purpose of a business? Generations of entrepreneurs, economists, and educators have believed that the sole purpose of business is shareholder wealth. Businesses driven by profit have created job opportunities, technological advancements, and improved standards of living. Yet, the pursuit of profit has sometimes caused harm to the environment, employees, and society. New business philosophies, such as triple bottom line, principles of responsible management education, sustainable development goals, environmental social governance, socially responsible investment, and conscious capitalism call for businesses to not only focus on shareholders, but also employees, customers, suppliers, communities, and society. Many accrediting bodies now require schools to develop leaders who can manage the impact of business on the world. How can your school facilitate this shift in business philosophy? The Conscious Capitalism Business Simulation helps teachers to develop leaders who can manage both profit and business's societal impact. How does it work? Students work as an executive team, running their own business in an online game environment. They devise strategies, design products and ads, manage sales outlets and production. They learn to strike the balance between doing well through profit maximization and doing good through socially conscious management. For example, reports start coming in about a product defect that could harm customers. The workers worry about the health effects of their workplace, and the community is unhappy with the company's impact on the environment. Students make tough decisions to address these issues while handling the usual challenges of running a business. They discover what drives sales, profits, customer perception, employee morale, company reputation, and more. They learn that taking care of all stakeholders can increase the bottom line. Socially responsible leaders can create a better future. The Conscious Capitalism Simulation helps teachers develop the minds that will lead this change.
Okay, so this is the story I would like to share with you, that I come from a background of being academician for more than 25 years, then turned entrepreneur and running this art of learning as a company to teach the students about the entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship concepts and the skills. So the conscious capitalism simulation really gave me a kind of a wow feeling when I first used it, because it gives an opportunity for the players just not to understand the concept, but to live it by doing and participating in all kind of decision making. From the video, I'm sure that you got an idea that how the setup of the simulation has been, and how the players are supposed to, and how the players are given the opportunity to make the different kind of decisions, be it sustainable decisions or environmental, ethical. So while they run a normal kind of business, they come across with these kind of tough situations where they have to take those kind of decisions where it is impacting their finance, their operations, overall impact on the society. So when they are into that kind of environment, they learn this is just not a kind of a checkbox kind of exercise or regulatory requirement, but it is something which is really near to their heart, and they need to take care of it. And it has some positive and it's a negative impact too. So how to deal with it? So by the time they are starting using the simulation in their week 1, 2, 3, 4, and by the end of the maybe 7 or 8 or 10 weeks course, they feel, okay, this is how they can actually learn this concept and live it as a kind of real story of their own. Next slide, please. So this is the conscious capitalism idea. Give them a confidence. These are not just big words, or these are not just preaching. This is something which is doable. So for example, I remember a student's story when I was teaching in the class. So he was worried about, okay, if my all the money is going in the taking care of the health and the environment issues, and how I'm going to take profit. I am still a startup company. I don't have money. But when we had that kind of deep discussion, and he was convinced that in the very beginning of the business, you are not supposed and not required even to take those kind of all decisions and heavily invest in the business. But later on, when you have some money saved out of profit, you can gradually start doing it. And the same kind of decision making opportunities are there in the simulation. In the first 2 quarters of business quarters, they have difficulty in setting up the business, getting all the resources together. But when they start making profits, they are investing slowly, gradually, some amount of money, and they see that the positive impact on their sales, on their profits, on the engagement of the community, employees. So this is how it works actually. Next slide, please. When we teach as an educator, we teach the SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals. Those sounds like, okay, these are the country specific, those are the big goals. But when we tell them, okay, these goals can be achieved in your own small way of doing the things, your small contribution, maybe you are doing some kind of, wastage management or these kind of thing. So this is how they can, understand big goals can be achieved. And next slide. So the principle we follow that small wins to ignite joy, engagement, and creativity. And this is my experience. I'm here to share with you. And in the simulation, next slide. so as an educator, we have a challenge to develop the leaders who are actually convinced and skilled and have the tools to do it. And this is the way to engage, to challenge them, and then inspire them and see the transformation within a time of maybe few weeks course, where they are feeling more comfortable and maybe ready for the future leadership as conscious leaders. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was great. So we wanted to make sure that everyone got to have that Q&A opportunity to ask questions. So I'm giving you a forewarning. We're going to bring up on screen all the different presenters for today. And we will also, if you have Q&A questions that you have, feel free to put them in a chat. We have some introductory questions we're going to ask, but then we will do we will allow you guys to jump in here and join in your own questions as well. So happy to have your questions in there. To kick us off, do we have them spotlighted? And we'll take down the screen so we can spotlight everybody. The first question that I have is, how can universities better tailor their curriculum to the requirements of social innovators, social entrepreneurs, and the communities that we serve through our work? And Burmeet, I'll kick it off to you first.
Yes, because I was also thinking about how can we actually make the curriculum better for our students. And over the past 3 years I've been teaching, and I used to say practice, practice, practice. So students actually will learn today and go. And with the higher education standards, especially in Central Asia, it is a little bit challenge. However, you can be very creative in terms of teaching your new topic. And also right now I'm exploring actually more on how to teach using case studies, because not all the students are interested in to actually become an entrepreneur. Since I'm teaching right now at the AOC Academy, which is heavily focused on the theories, and I propose them to ideas like, do you want to learn it in a practice-based, like where you go out to the field, like field meaning you say the problem, you go out, you do actually your research, or you just want to actually learn by the case studies. And also that was actually one of the challenges, that we do not have enough case studies in Central Asia. We do have actual case studies from Africa, from Western countries, but it doesn't really align with the understanding of the cultural aspects here, because we have totally different mindsets, and we can talk, but in reality, it will fail. So, and I think now I have to go back and change the curriculum and get the approval. So maybe I will start teaching with like only cases, like Q&As only.
Interesting, interesting. Great. Eric or Bindu, you want to join in?
Yeah, sure. So enriching the curriculum is a tough task for us as an educator. So what I believe in that sustainability and societal impact cannot be a part of one subject or curriculum or course. It should be part of every subject. For example, I come from a finance background or entrepreneurship if I teach. So if I include those aspects of social entrepreneurship or social ESG elements in these finance courses, or those kind of cases where the people have adopted it and then they see the finance impact and their profitability maybe. So I believe in taking the overall wider viewpoint on that, where every subject or every course has a kind of a ability to talk about all those things in totality, not only just giving one course on sustainability or ethics or conscious capitalism. It is not making much or bigger impact, I think.
That's great. Eric, you got to join in, because we know that you got some crazy things going on at Lehigh.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with both Burmeet and Bindu. I think that social entrepreneurship education has to be hands-on. It has to be interdisciplinary. And we have to kind of break down some of the silos between academic disciplines that really prevent students from different fields from working together, students and faculty from different fields from working together. One observation I've had here at Lehigh is that we really ask undergraduate students to do like so many different things. They're constantly context switching between all of these different classes. And I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes what you really need is time to just focus on one thing and really dive deep on your venture and, you know, the problems and what's needed to move it forward. And I think that can be really challenging in an undergraduate environment, especially. We've tried to create some summer programming so that students don't have other classes going on at the same time and they can do more intensive experiences with their ventures. And I think that's been really promising. But yeah, I think the question is, how can we encourage more of this stuff and also make these social entrepreneurial efforts part of the you know, degree or graduation requirements so students are really getting credit for the great work that they're doing.
Yeah, great suggestions. I really love that. What about in your experience, some of the challenges that you've had teaching, and how have you dealt with some of the pushback, the hurdles, institutional structures, stakeholders? I know when you do experiential learning and service learning and hands-on things, it's a lot more work for the faculty, and there's a lot of challenges there. So anyone want to jump in on that question?
I can start if that's okay.
Sure.
I think we've had challenges with people not fully understanding what social entrepreneurship is, especially at a university. I think it really brings together, you know, entrepreneurship especially, but there's a lot of engineering and design involved with it. There's research as well. We try to publish a lot about the work that we're doing as well. And just having people understand how large this concept of social entrepreneurship is and how it can really be you know, encompass so many different fields and different activities, I think has been a challenge. It's very different than a lot of other programs that are traditionally run at universities. And so I think, you know, getting people to understand exactly what we're doing and why is always a big challenge. And yeah, maybe I'll hand it over to the others.
You just said actually everything, Eric, but I just want to actually echo in the thing, why we are doing it, how we will do it, and when or where. Like why, what, how, right? So this is very crucial part of in any sustainable ideas that we need to first understand why we are doing it. I agree.
And Edie is on screen as well. She also is going to participate in our Q&A, and I'm going to pass it off to you, Edie.
Thanks so much, Debbie, and thank you everybody for your presentations. They've been wonderful. I think very quickly, I've just been to the International Social Innovation Research Conference, and one of the very kind of hot topics is how could we collaborate cross-sectorally and in ecosystems. And there are ecosystems of social innovation, ecosystems of social innovation research, there are ecosystems in our cities, there's so many ecosystems. But what we are saying as a network of universities, and I'll share more later on, is that we can actually bring a lot to cross-sectoral collaboration that's already happening. So there's already happening between the private sector, the public sector, and civil society organizations. But higher education are, you know, educating the newer generations, and they're creating or co-creating the jobs of the future as well. So how can we all gather together and start thinking and learning each other's language and learning to co-create these jobs as we come and learn by doing as well? And I have several examples. And we also have fellows that are, you know, generating, Ashoka fellows are generating tools for collaboration. So these tools really help students, faculty, and staff at universities and colleges to engage communities in a very pragmatic and effective way too.
Vandana had a fantastic question, which I'm going to put in the chat here and also read it. How do you measure the effectiveness of your social entrepreneurship program in terms of student learning outcomes and social impact? In our case, students are excited to learn, but do not take it up keenly with an immediate effect. So how do you measure the effectiveness of your programs? And I'm going to jump in first. We actually are doing research right now about the social entrepreneurship education around the world and what's happening in the programs, whether they're masters, minors, or majors. And being able to measure the impact of the students, the pre and the post measurement is so important, because we talk a lot about it. Let's get students to shift their values. We want to see that they're going to shift their values, they're going to shift their mindsets and their behaviors over the course of the course, over the semester. And what you said, Eric, is 100% true. If we can get them in the summer when they're not taking other courses, then they're full on 100%. And you see a lot more shifts. So happy to share some of the things that we're doing, and the rest of you to share any other thoughts about how you're measuring the effectiveness of your programs.
One thing that we like to do is really, I don't know how to describe this exactly, but we try to really push our students to also work on academic publications and to publish a lot of research about the work that they're doing. So in that way, they're getting credit in the form of, conference papers and journal articles for the work that they're doing. And then we can, kind of directly measure that as a program. I guess that's a very traditional academic way to look at a program like this. We also talk a lot about building 1 million smile businesses. So we're trying to, change the world by having students build these real businesses with a goal of impacting 1 million people, which is, I think that's a large undertaking for sure. But having them think about not just what are they going to work on in the year that they're part of the project, but how is it going to scale over time and have this big dream of impacting 1 million people, I think is a really powerful thing that we do here as well.
So here I would like to share my experience with conscious capitalism simulation. So what we have in this simulation, particular simulation, to measure the effectiveness or this kind of outcome, societal impact. So we have conscious capitalism scorecard. So whatever decisions the students are making during the all the simulation different business decision quarters, so they have some scores. Apart from their profitability or balance scorecard, we have introduced conscious scorecard. So every team has their conscious scorecard based upon their competitors' action plan. So this is how we understand that what they are actually learning and what are their takeaways. And at the end of this course, we make them present to other people also, like what they are learning from, actually what kind of convincing ideas they have got through this course. And this is how they can be measured, I think.
Yeah, in the case of me actually teaching at ACA for the past 3 years, I must admit that the term social entrepreneurship itself is actually totally new to Kyrgyz Republic. And I have only 5 cohorts that finished the course of social entrepreneurship, and most of them are still actually at the university. What I can say to the students who already graduated from the university, they didn't necessarily work on their project proposed ideas, what was developed during the class. When they actually graduated, they were able to also work on their own startups, where they actually created the small businesses. One of them actually always working with China on getting the raw materials just to start actually the production process. And I asked them actually, was it easy for you in terms of launching it? They said, no, it wasn't easy because it wasn't easy because we were scared, but it was easy in terms of actually knowing the steps, what steps we need to take. It was all laid out. So that wasn't then easy. And the difficult part was because I don't teach that. It's actually marketing and branding, because these actually 2 different separate things. And within 1 semester, it's really hard to cover what Bindi said. It must be actually ongoing learning. It shouldn't be actually solely in 1 semester. And so that was actually the test. That is a testimony what I can share. And also in the slides, I shared that Uyatem is not ashamed. They also got their investments. And right now they're based in Kazakhstan and they are working on developing the app. That is the only like 2 cases I can share with you right now.
So before we go into the breakout rooms, so one last question. Sadar asked, should there be a separate social entrepreneurship course at all? Or should all courses in entrepreneurship be social entrepreneurship as well? So I changed your question just slightly. So what do you think, your panelists?
Can you repeat the question,
There's
please?
separate course
Sorry.
for
Yep. So should social entrepreneurship be its own separate course? Or should a traditional entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship be one course where the students are always looking at triple bottom line?
May I come first? So I've been teaching entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship for many years now. So I believe that there should be 2 courses, not combined. From my experience, because there's some mindset required for social entrepreneurship pursuit. Everybody cannot be this social entrepreneur because they have their own aspirations, way of thinking, empathy, creative thinking, problem solving. So the skills required for social entrepreneurs are unique. It's just my personal opinion, maybe, but for others, entrepreneurship can be a glamorous or money-making thing, but for social entrepreneur, they have a purpose. They have bigger purpose in their life. So everybody cannot have that kind of mindset.
Yes, agreed too. And in social entrepreneurship class, sometimes what Bindu also said, students, not all students actually have or want to become an entrepreneur or social entrepreneur. However, they could be actually great employee who can bring the change within the organization, which is called social entrepreneurship.
Yes.
So that could be also one of the ways, like how you are actually teaching it, like, because again, and corporate, the changes come within the corporations, new products comes also within the corporations, the SDGs, the CSRs. So it actually covers more of a social giving back to the community aspects than in entrepreneurship being just for profits and having a lavish life.
Thank you. Such an interesting question for us to debate. I just imagine us taking over the traditional entrepreneurship only for profit to be all triple bottom line. So it's time for us to go into breakout rooms. This is your opportunity to chat with one another, to share your ideas and experiences. It can be anything from teaching to experiential learning opportunities that you've seen that you want to share, or something you teach in the classroom as well. We have 10 minutes for the breakout rooms. In our experience, do not introduce yourself for more than 30 seconds. Just say your name and university, but go into talking about some of these questions. If you do have an experiential activity that you want to share, and the ones that we've talked about today are here, experiential, I'm going to spell it wrong, but there is a Google document that you guys can share them with and add the link if there is anything written up about that experiential activity. And yep, so here's questions there. Share different initiatives that your school's doing. How can we provide students with additional opportunities for in real world social entrepreneurship projects? So have a great time in your breakout rooms, and make sure you use your time efficiently. So you should see there the breakout room options that you can join in, and we will get you all going. If you're not in a breakout room, just let us know. We're happy to put you in one. Welcome everyone back. I enjoyed the breakout rooms and you weren't kicked out too fast. I hope there's some interesting learnings that we have from the breakout room, and we do have some time for Q&A real fast. Is there anyone want to share 1 or 2 things from your breakout room that you wanted to share with the full group? You can unmute and share.
Yeah, Sridhar here. One very interesting insight that I got from Bindu is that it is the faculty, it is the teacher who becomes the real inspiring or inspirational to build that necessary mindset. Thanks a lot for that, Bindu.
Wonderful. Anyone else want to share?
Let me briefly, what I've seen working for me in the classroom is to start with a problem. Basically, students identify a problem that they are passionate about solving, and everything that they do during the trimester is applying the knowledge that they get to that problem. And they end the trimester with a solution that they present as their final project.
Great. Love it. So I'm going to pass this on to Edie Cruz, who is part of the Ashoka U team. And we absolutely love the work of Ashoka. A lot of us went to the Ashoka U events before they stopped doing all the events. But we wanted to get some updates from the Ashoka crew to share with all of you, because there's Ashoka groups all over the world. So that are working with the universities. Off to you, Edie.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Debbie, and everybody in the Catalyst team. You do fabulous, beautiful work. And I'm very honored to have invited to share a little bit. So if we could go to the next slide. Let me tell you a little bit of context. As you know, Ashoka has been working in this field for 40 years. And we very much coined, well, Bill Drayton coined the social entrepreneur term. And so for 20 years, for the first 20 years, we believed that there was nothing more powerful than a social entrepreneur with a system change idea. And the fellowship was created. We now have 4,000 fellows around the world. And you know the rest of the story because you've seen it all. And we have been so excited that through this work, the work that Ashoka has done all these years, there's been the distillation of 4 specific skills: conscious empathy, change-making leadership, organizing fluid, open, and integrated teams. And below, you can see change-making practices. Maybe you can't see it right now because I can't see it, but it is basically a bias to practice. And what we have discovered is that all these fellows were enabling environments, and they were activating communities, and they were constantly using these 4 skills. Could we move to the next slide? And so Diana Wells has been very much with Ashoka for 30 years, and she's created the Changemaker Index. And this Changemaker Index is an amazing tool that we now have to distill these 4 skills and have them with another 16 competencies. What that means is that when you go and visit this tool, you can see resources that Ashoka have created for the last 40 years, all kinds of data that you can see when communities or universities or companies go and use this index. And this brings me to why Debbie invited me and the very exciting work that has happened in Ashoka in the higher education sector for the last 15 years. Because we saw that there were all these, the growth of social innovation and social entrepreneurship, and the universities were, you know, engaging with these issues, both at the theoretical and at the practical level. But like we've seen today with the panelists, my time is out. Thank you.
No, keep going. You got a few minutes. You got another minute. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie. We created, Ashoka U was created, and Ashoka U is a network of universities that engages with change making. Could we go to the next slide?
That was the last one. Oh, yeah.
So in this slide, you're going to be able to see 2 things. One, if you go to the CMI, you'll go in, you'll get all the resources. Please, if you go to Ashoka U, you'll see all the work that we're doing. We work through a process of designation of changemaker campuses. We have a network around the world. A lot of them are in the US. I've just been presented with them on cross-sectoral collaboration and social innovation and ecosystems in from the higher education ecosystem and in CTC ecosystems as well. And very importantly, you'll see here a fellow, an Ashoka fellow that's been collaborating with us, and he's created a series of tools, and he's put a book together with hundreds of tools from fellows, and we are offering workshops and engagement with universities. There's so much more to share. I will, please, there's my email on the first slide. Please contact me if you'd like to hear more. And thank you again, Debbie, for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. So
Thank you.
as we're wrapping up, we're going to launch the poll, but we're not done yet. So we still have more resources, but I love to share this poll with you so that you can go ahead and give us some feedback on the session itself. We like to go back and show people how good the sessions are, what suggestions you have to make improvements, etc. And then on the next slide, 2 slides from now, Komi, what's coming up as part of this educator series is mark your calendars for these, and we'll put the links in the chat. We will have Empowering Impact Educators, Social Entrepreneurship Research Trends with Sophie Bach, Shrivos, and Alyssa Alt from the UK, and they'll talk about research trends. And then the last session with this series is Transformative Impact, Insights from Scholars on Impact Investing in particular. So if you want to join that session, there's a link for you to join that. Next, I wanted to share with you about Social Change Innovators. I think almost all of you know about SCI, but for those of you that are new to this space, the Social Change Innovators online knowledge hub was started for educators. Back in 2003, when I started teaching, we put everything into a Dropbox. Now in 2018, it went online, and now it's even it's part of Catalyst 2030. So the work that we're doing with educating, teaching, we have modules in there. If you want to teach systems change, you've never taught it before, you can search by experiential activities you can use in the classroom. You can also search, what's it like working with governments, working with the private sector, etc. So we think that SCI is a great resource for educators. And then the last slide is we do have a Medium platform, so feel free to click on that link for the Medium platform. We are looking for academics and folks to share their own resources on the platform. So if you have an academic article and you want to turn it into a practitioner article that we can read and understand, or for us educators that don't want to read your academic article because there's no way I have that time to read the 30 pages, we have a 1,200 word Medium platform where you could write that quick story about the social impact that you're doing in communities and such. So feel free to share your own Medium platform. Thank you for filling out the survey. We appreciate you guys all doing that. And the last thing I have for all of you, if you haven't done the survey, let's go ahead and show everybody on screen. And it's your gratitude. Before we leave, we have 3 minutes. Share your gratitude for why you're happy to be an educator. So share with everyone your gratitude for being in this amazing field. So what are you grateful for as an educator? And you can unmute and share, or you can put it in the chat.
May I go first? Sridhar here.
Go for it.
So when I started teaching entrepreneurship, people started asking me, why you are not doing it? Why are you teaching? So this has been bugging me, and I asked my professor. He said, you know what? People who can teach won't do it, because the impact through teaching is much, much far wider than just doing yourself. That's why I want to be in academics.
Anyone else?
Just to add, I always also get asked this question, do you have your own social enterprise, like successful? I say no. Have you seen actually a busy, successful businessman teaching you, or like almost for free, how to run your business? So now you know it. So you know it.
Good logic.
Renee, what about your gratitude for teaching, or Jelena? You want to unmute and share?
Yes, thank you. I have two computers and three screens, so I was trying to figure out which computer I was on here. So my gratitude is when the light bulb goes off. You know, I've been recently doing a lot of study abroad, and for all of us who have done them, they're a truckload of work. And there's sleepless nights and just thousands of hours. And when I see the impact that students being in a different country have had, it makes it all worth it.
Love it. Anyone else want to share? Even if you don't teach, just helping other young people learn and grow.
Yeah, I would say that for me, the reward is seeing mindsets and ambitions change. We may not see it right now in terms of what we can demonstrate and document, but when you run into your students years later and they tell you that was a very memorable experience and I've carried it forward to this very day, what a great reward that is.
And Edie, last one.
Thank you. I just think we have a window of opportunity right now to build and co-create together these mind shift and also the jobs that our students are going to be engaging on and creating themselves. So it's wonderful to see a critical mass that is learning by doing as well. And, you know, just taking the action to create these jobs of the future together that are focusing on solving some of the most pressing issues rather than only profit, like one of your videos was sharing.
Great. Nice closing there, Edie. Thank you to our panelists. We appreciate you. Unmute, say goodbye to our speakers, and have a great day or evening.
Bye.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.